Welcome to Real Estate Secrets Unlocked, the podcast that takes you inside the minds of the industry's top professionals, revealing their top secrets to success. I'm your host, Danielle Damianov. Whether you're a seasoned pro or just starting out, get ready to learn the latest trends, strategies, and secrets that will help you succeed. Join us as we go beyond the basics and explore what it takes to make it in the world of real estate. So buckle up and get ready for a wild ride. This is Real Estate Secrets Unlocked. Hey everybody, it's Danielle Damianov with Real Estate Secrets Unlocked, and I'm so excited that I'm here today with a fellow EXP agent, Niyi Adewole with the Cabo Home Realty team from hot Atlanta, Georgia. So thank you so much for being here. We're going to talk about moving from the corporate world into real estate investing, and I have some fun questions for you. So thank you very much for being on today.
Come on now, Danielle. I'm excited to be on. And yes, it's called Hotlanta, but definitely not as hot as where you are right now in Florida.
Right.
And so, no, excited to be here and always happy to jump on with my fellow EXP mates.
Yes, I love that. So tell me, well, why don't you tell everybody a little bit how you got into real estate? Because you were in the corporate world for many years and then decided to take that leap of faith that a lot of people are scared to take and go full-time into real estate, leaving your, safe, secure W-2 behind. So why don't you let everybody know how you made that happen?
Yeah, and I'd be the first to say that it's not for everyone making that leap into full-time entrepreneurship. But if you believe you can excel, it's one of those things where you got to do it sooner rather than later. And to your point, I started off in the corporate world. I actually worked for a Fortune 500 healthcare company from 2015 till 2022. And along the way, I read books like Rich Dad, Poor Dad and Richest Man in Babylon and started to find out about this thing called real estate investing. Then I stumbled across the Bigger Pockets podcast, which took me down a whole nother rabbit hole. And I was able to buy my first deal in 2016. It was a house hack where I lived in one unit, rented the other two out. It was a triplex. And I was off to the races from there. And over that time period before I left the W-2, I was able to build my long-term rental units up to about 30, get my real estate license, and then made the jump into full-time real estate in 2022. So it was a stair-step method. It didn't all happen, in 1 year, but it's been an amazing journey so far.
Well, and that's always how entrepreneurship works. Like people see you with all these rentals, but they don't see you with everything you did to get the rentals. Let's talk about that house hack for a second, because that's a really good house hack that a lot of people, especially younger people, should 100% do. So that triplex, did you buy it as the primary?
I did, and I think you're spot on. For people that are willing to delay gratification a little bit and not go get that single family with a picket fence and things of that nature, this can set you up for the future. And it's one of those where when I look at getting a house hack, right, especially doing it as a primary, you're able to put down as little as 5% or 3.5% to go and get a whole property that can also double as a rental property. And you only have to live in it for up to 1 year, right? And so when I look at it almost as investing with training wheels on, as opposed to going out and trying to buy something off market or going to go do a flip for your first deal. A lot can go wrong, but a house hack, it's hard to mess that up. And so what that one did for me is it showed me that this real estate thing works. I was able to buy a triplex, and this was in Louisville, Kentucky in 2016. Okay, so you can't buy it for this price today, but I bought a triplex on market for $190,000. I put down $5,000, which was roughly 3.5%, to buy this property. And when I moved into one of the units and rented the other two out, it covered my full mortgage. So I went from paying $1,200 to live in an apartment to literally living for free. And that is what set me up to get the next one and the next one and to keep growing from there.
Hey, real quick, if you're enjoying this podcast, make sure to subscribe to my YouTube channel, Real Estate Secrets Unlocked, and hit that notification bell so you never miss a new episode. And by the way, if you're a mortgage or real estate professional looking to level up your business, check out the Done by One CRM. It's at donebyone.ai. It packs tons of tools that will help you automate your business, automate your systems, your lead generation, your lead follow-up, social media, email marketing, and it will allow you to close deals faster. If you are ready to take your career to the next level, join my team. We are looking for real estate agents, mortgage professionals, and real estate agents that want to be mortgage professionals. We're all about support, growth, and crushing it together. The links are in the description. Check them out now and let's grow together. Now, do you still own that property?
I do not. So what happened is I've actually traded in a lot of the greenhouses to go pick up the Red Hotel. And so I got about 30 units in Louisville, Kentucky. And then my partner out there, who's a realtor, her name's Monica Dunlap, who's a rock star out that way. She actually is my partner on some bigger deals. And so in 2021 and 2022, I sold all those units to move it into a partnership deal with her where we built self-storage from the ground up, 225 units. And we also have 9 acres of land that we're building 105 townhomes on. And so we use that combined with her funds as seed money to trade up into commercial.
Oh, wow, that's awesome. So now where are those units? Are they in Kentucky? Are they?
Yeah, those units are in Louisville, Kentucky, right? And so that's where I started my career and kept investing as I was advancing through my W-2. Now, the W-2 did afford me the opportunity to move to the Southeast from the Northeast at one point when I was excelling. And so I chose Atlanta purposely as another spot that I can invest in. And so aside from what we have in Louisville, I also own 10 units in Atlanta. Most of those are short-term and mid-term rentals with some mix of long-term. And we manage about 30 short-term rentals in total, including mine, in the Metro of Atlanta.
Yeah, that's up. And it's so funny in the beginning you mentioned the book Rich Dad Poor Dad, 'cause I cannot even begin to tell you. That's how I read that book and I'm like, "Oh, this is what I need to be doing." And so many real estate investors and agents that get into the business, like that was their start, right? Rich Dad Poor Dad, then Cash Flow Quadrant, all of those old books, but they're so good. So that's awesome. Now, your short-term rentals, talk to me a little bit about that. And depending on when you bought them, because I'm just trying to see how you're cash flowing. Let's say you were to purchase today, right, with the higher interest rate environment. How would you be cash flowing on these properties?
This is a great question, and it's one that we're actively helping answer for investors. Like we literally have 2 short-term rentals for clients under contract right now at today's interest rates. And so to answer your question, we got started in short-term rentals in 2021. The first 5 years of my investing career, really 6 years, I didn't do anything but long-term rentals. It was just small multifamily, long-term, and I bought it all within a mile of each other in Louisville, Kentucky, because I knew that area because I lived there for like a year. And so I was like, all right, I'm gonna keep buying here. The short-term rentals came when I moved to Atlanta. I bought a house hack, lived in the top floor, and rented out the basement as a short-term rental. And I was hoping to pull in about 1,500 per month, but end up pulling in 2,500 to 3,200 per month, and it was off to the races from there. And so it was a different environment in 2021 and early 22 with the interest rates to where you can get a really low interest rate and the cash flow numbers really worked. Now, what's happened is a lot of people have jumped into the short-term rental game and are now exiting, some of the people that are not professional, and interest rates have skyrocketed. And so what you have to do nowadays is you can't just throw anything out there. You need to run the numbers just like you would for a long-term rental, but even more precise using software like AirDNA to pull the comps and see, okay, what amenities do I need to have in this B&B and what size of B&B should I go for? For example, around the Metro of Atlanta, if you're going to go for a 3-bed, 2-bath for a short-term rental, it's going to be really hard for you to differentiate that compared to all the others, right? You're almost better going a little bit smaller, like a 2-bedroom and putting a lot of amenities, or going larger, like a 5+ bedroom and stacking that thing to stand out. And so what you want to do nowadays to stand out is you have to be in that top 20% where you're not competing on price, you're competing on amenities, competing on experience, because if you get into that price competition, it's not going to make sense for you.
Right. So what are you seeing as, let's just say somebody wanted to come in, buy a short-term rental. What price point are they going to be at? Is it 200,000, 300,000? I mean, I'm sure there's a huge range, but what would you say the sweet spot is?
I wish. I wish it was still 200 and 300,000, but those are unfortunately gonna be houses that need a heck of a lot of work, right? And so what we're seeing as a sweet spot around the Metro of Atlanta is right when you start breaking that 500K threshold. So if you're right around that piece, now you can get a larger house in a solid neighborhood that you can pack amenities into. We've had some clients that we actually help them manage this property go as large as a 10,000 square foot mansion, right? You don't have to do all that, but we helped the client out of Canada buy a $2 million mansion. 10,000 square feet. We've been managing it for him for 2 years now. And that house does 30 to 40K per month in revenue because there's just nothing like it. And so
Who
the
would do
bigger you
that?
can go, the better.
So, like, so for that type of property, who's renting that? I'm thinking like the movie stars coming in to do like a movie video.
Ah. So the cool thing is, like, it's all the above, right? Because a house like that, you can house 16, 20 people, and so it's not as expensive as you would think if you're gonna have a family get-together in Atlanta or
Right.
you wanna have a wedding. We've had different wedding events. We've had certain celebrities like Kai Cenat from, Twitch, Usher do, like, a commercial there. Monica did, like, a whole family shoot there. DC Young Fly and other people like that, Mike Epps, have done things at that property. And so, yeah, it's all the above. You get the celebrities, but you also get the people that are like, hey, I want to have a memorable experience with my family, and maybe we're all getting together for the first time in a long time. Let's book this large place and all get together.
Even masterminds, retreats, different things like that. I mean, you really could go a lot of different ways with those larger properties. So you mentioned two, $300,000 was, like back in the day, those need a lot of work. I don't know about your area. Our area in Southwest Florida, prices are dropping. Like it is, we were ground zero for foreclosures in like 2008. It was like it was insane. So we're starting to see now, I'm not saying we're going back to 2008, but we're starting to see a ton of price, decreases. And I was thinking about this last night because I do work with investors as well. And a lot of the newer investors, and I really want people to listen to me here because a lot of the newer investors that are getting into the game now, they don't realize that when you're valuing that property, and let's say you're doing it to flip it, right? Let's say you're buying into fix and flip. You need to underestimate the value of that property because by the time that property is fixed and you're ready to flip, people aren't flipping these days. They're having to then go and do a DSCR loan and hold because they can't sell the property. There's so much inventory. So I really want the newer investors that think, oh, wow, shiny object, this is going to be awesome. To realize that if you think today that property is worth $550,000, you might need to consider that it could be 525 by the time you go to sell. So I don't know if you're seeing that in your market, but we're definitely seeing that in Southwest Florida.
Yeah, and I think it's so the thing about Florida, and you would know this even more than me, is that that hurricane combined with the interest rates going up kind of just took the wind out of the sails for a bit. Do I believe over time it's going to be fine? Absolutely. But right now, a lot of people are hesitant and prices are going up like crazy. And so it is taking the wind out of the sails. For Georgia, we're slightly more protected from those type of disasters. Yes, we get like the wind and hail damage and things of that nature, but not nearly as many claims as when a hurricane, Helene comes through and takes out, half a city. And so we're not seeing it to the level of Florida, but what we have seen is that the months of supply has ticked up to the point where now it's officially a buyer's market.
Mhm.
And so we're taking advantage of that for our investors and just our regular home buyers. We're able to go out there and get a heck of a lot of seller credits that we then utilize for different things like buying down the interest rate, covering your full closing costs. And we're able to play a little bit more hardball with some of the sellers, right, on different properties that have been sitting for a bit. And they're more willing to work with us than they were a few years ago.
Right. And it's funny you said that. Like, I mean, I'm closing a deal today, an investment property today that literally should have made a lot more money than what it's making. And the value like the value was there, but they came in wanting $18,000 in seller concessions. It's an FHA deal, so they can get up to 6%. And I said, and they came in a little low. I'm like, if you want the 18,000, you have to raise the sales price, right? The value was still there for the appraisal, so it's fine, but there's a lot of inventory out there. So you as a seller, if they're not willing to work with that buyer, they're going to go somewhere else, right? This might not have been their first choice, but they needed the $18,000 to get what they, to be where they needed to be on interest rate. And so if you are looking to sell, you definitely need to be flexible. So where are you finding your deals? I know that when I'm selling real estate full time, my niche was expired listings. I was a Mike Ferry agent. I cold called 3 hours a day, 5 days a week, 30 contacts a day. And that was like my thing. So I'm just curious, coming into the market in 2022, the market's shifting. Where are you finding most of your deals?
Man, so there's the cool thing about real estate and being realtor and things of that nature is there's many ways to be successful here. And so I know Mike Ferry is very successful. Actually, my partner in Kentucky is a Mike Ferry student and I believe certified coach, um,
Oh, cool.
and went through that whole piece. But that's not my thing, right? The cold calling and things of that nature. I'm more of the warm call and kind of the sphere of influence and building that piece. So that's been one thing, letting everybody that you know within your circle that you are a realtor. But the thing that's really helped set us apart and allowed us to excel even in the quote unquote tough markets is niching down. A lot of people are scared to niche down into one segment because they're like, hey, what if somebody wants to do this? Will I miss that opportunity? It's been a blessing for us. So we are focused on investors. If you look at my business card, it says investor friendly agent, right? If you look at everything on our profiles and what we do and the Instagram and all that stuff, it's talking about investments. And so the cool thing about investors is it doesn't matter if it's an up market or a down market, as long as the numbers work and you can find that deal, it makes sense for them. And it's also led to other opportunities, right? Because we're focused on investors, I've partnered with some different individuals that send referrals our way where we work with a lot of different investors. And then, lo and behold, a celebrity client wanted to come and move down here to buy a house because Atlanta is the Hollywood of the East now with all the credits they're given and things of that nature. And so we were able to close like a $7 million house earlier this year. It's like, okay, cool. So niching down has helped because now people can remember like what we're really good at. And then you also get other opportunities off of that as well.
Absolutely. And a lot of times when I tell, real estate agents, especially the new ones, they'll be like, "Oh, I'm willing to work with anybody if you're looking to rent, buy, sell, invest, build, blah blah blah." It's almost like um when you're niching down and you're looking for that one specific target, it's a lot easier to find them. It's a lot harder to find somebody that's just looking to do all of these things and is very broad. It doesn't limit you to, okay, if I'm working with investors, I'm only going to work with investors. No, you're going to get, other people, just like you said. But when you niche down, like my thing was expireds. That's what I focused on. I cold called expireds. Did I get other sellers or buyers here or there? Absolutely. But my niche was cold calling the expireds. You said something and now I just lost my train of thought. I was going to ask you a question. So you moved from Kentucky to Atlanta. And you mentioned that you're more of a warm call person, sphere of influence, somebody that wants to move markets. And I'll tell you, I moved from Southwest Florida to Miami, not knowing a single person, and I cold called. So, how do you create that sphere of influence or the people that you want to do business with if you move to a brand new area and you do not know anybody?
Man, so I've moved a lot in my career, right? So Um, I moved to Louisville, Kentucky from Chicago when I was doing a program there with the company. Same company moved me to Louisville. I then moved to Boston for a promotion and then moved to Atlanta from Boston. And so each time you have to get out there and just start meeting people in your day to day. And so if you are somebody that likes going to a gym, go and meet some people at the gym and make that piece happen. I'd say the one thing that definitely set us apart and helped in all these different locations is that I was an investor first, right? And so because we have this investor focus and I'm an investor, I would go out there looking for deals for myself. And all of a sudden I'm meeting different contractors and different vendors that can then eventually refer business to you. That was a huge piece. And then when we niche down into the investor market, I think it's exactly what you said before. You start to develop so much expertise there because that's what your focus is on. Doesn't mean you can't help other people. You definitely can, but all your dollars and your focus is on this piece. And so we started going to different events and meeting other investors that we could then help. And we also started getting heavy into bigger pockets and doing messages back and trying to answer questions in there. And all of a sudden it's leading to more business and more business. And so that's kind of what we did. It may not be the pathway for everyone to follow. I know a lot of other realtors that are not focused on investors really focus on that sphere of those around you and making sure that the whole neighborhood knows like, hey, you're the realtor. And so I think there's many ways to do it. But for us, it was that niche and then finding different events and different opportunities online to continue to connect with that niche.
Well, that's the biggest thing. It's like when I was cold calling with Mike Ferry, there wasn't so much of an online presence. Like this was back in '08, 9, 10, 11. I mean, there was, but now the opportunity is so much bigger. And what's so crazy to me is that there's so many struggling real estate agents out there that are literally getting second jobs because they don't know or leaving the industry altogether because they don't know how to make it. But the opportunity is so much bigger now because you don't necessarily have to be that neighborhood agent, right? You can go online and join all of these different groups based upon, let's say you're looking at relocation, right? You can go and join different groups where people or businesses are looking for relocation agents. So you could spend 2 hours a day prospecting online without even leaving your house. So it's crazy to me how many, people are just like, they don't see that opportunity because it's no longer falling in their lap like it was in 2022.
100% agreed. And I think what you just said is what people are running away from. You could do that for 2 hours. They may do it for 2 hours one day, but it's, hey, are you going to do that for 30 days, 60 days, 90 days until success? And the answer for most people, especially in a generation where our attention span's getting less and less, is no. And so there's much opportunity if you have a drive or a hustle about you and you're willing to follow the game plan to a T, you could be successful in realty and really in anything.
It's all about consistency, and you don't have to be the best. You don't have to be perfect. You just have to be consistent.
Come on now.
So, what is the best deal you've ever done?
Best deal. So deal is in like an investment deal that I've personally done?
Just out of your real estate career, what would you say was the best? It could be the highest ROI. It could be just like the easiest deal that you got done and closed, just anything.
I would say the funnest deal was the $7 million deal. Like this was going into the ultra luxury. We'd done in the millions before, but this one was working with a celebrity client, understanding that, hey, you're probably not going to talk to this person as much. You got to talk to like 15 other people and work through all that. Having to bring in legal. It was just a lot going on to make that deal happen. So that was one of the funnest that I've recently experienced. As far as one of the best deals, some of the things that we've been doing and really getting creative with, and this is one that we did maybe 2 years ago, or no, a year and a half ago, is, we were able to help a client get 2 A-frames on a 10-acre lot, right? And the way that we did that was the home was listed for $1 million and they weren't budging on that number. They knew the value of it. It was brand new A-frames. And so we actually gave them 1.2, but we took 200,000 in seller credits. And what we used for that is we had them go out and source a builder for us, put the contract with the builder, and use those credits in a roundabout way to have the builder start building out a third option, which actually made the numbers work a lot better for our client. And so there's many ways that you can get creative with the real estate world. You just got to be working, one, with the right team, and two, don't look at it like as it is, right? If you're going to be an investor, you need to look at, hey, how could this deal work? Would it be a certain price? If we got another unit, would it work? What if we got X amount of credits to bite on the interest rate? Would it work? And that's kind of how you have to play the game.
Absolutely. Like taking a look at a project and saying, okay, what is the highest, return for that particular piece of land? Two A-frames obviously was not the highest return, right? Didn't make the most sense. Are you doing any subject to?
Yeah, so I actually purchased the house in January of 24, subject to, personally, and that's been cool. And then we sold a house late last year, subject to as well, and that's something that's popping up a lot more as of recent, right? Because there's the inventory starting to tick up. Right now, I think we're at like 7 months supply across the whole Atlanta metro, which is a buyer's market. If it starts to tick up to 8, 9 months, you're really going to see that start to take place. Um, but yeah, it's a strategy that I hadn't utilized in the past. I just took one over last year because I'm like, all right, this makes sense. It's fully furnished. I manage a short-term rental team, so I can just plug it into my system and keep going from there. And the one that we sold was one that sat on the market for, you know, upwards of 5, 6 months. That owner really needed to get out of it to stop paying that monthly fee. And so we found a client that wanted to do a short-term rental as well and help move that over to them.
That's awesome. So in terms of short-term rentals in the Atlanta area, like what are, because there's a lot of conferences in Atlanta and stuff like that, but where are you seeing the most, like the best opportunities and in what areas? Because when I think of short-term rental, right? Like I think of Miami and the condos but a single family home in a neighborhood, who's renting that? You know,
Yeah. Yeah, and this is an awesome question, and I love this, right? Because I answer it a lot for different people. They're like, "Hey, who's my avatar? Who's the person that's traveling here?" You've got to look at the city as a whole, right? Atlanta last year jumped over DC to become the sixth largest metro in the US. It is the Hollywood of the East, like I mentioned before. Like all these films that you watch, like Stranger Things, which is coming out later this year, the Avenger movies, Doomsday, all that stuff is filmed here, right? It's filmed in the Metro of Atlanta because of the tax credits and things of that nature. Tyler Perry put his studios here and 3 other studios followed. That's one piece. But then on the business side, 30 of the Fortune 1000 companies are also based in Atlanta. So we look at the Home Depots, the Deltas, the Coca-Colas of the world, the FedExes of the world. All those places are based here, and so you got diversity of employment. Not to mention, Rivian just put a $5 billion factory southwest of the city. You have Airbnb that just put their East Coast headquarters here in 2022. Microsoft bought 90 acres and plans to build out a campus. Nike put their tech hub here. There's a lot going for the Metro of Atlanta over the next few years that is really driving it up and to the right. And so these are some of the reasons that people visit. Not to mention, when you talk about events, not only do you have the consistent events that happen every single year, right? But you also have big outliers like the World Cup coming here next year, the semifinals. They're going to have 8 matches being played here. You have the Super Bowl coming back to Atlanta in 2028. We just had the college football final earlier this year for the playoffs. And so long story short, we've had people that come here for weekends or a week at a time to go stay, but we've also had people that want to book out a house for 6 to 9 months because they're working on construction projects or they've got a lot of business out here and they're sending employees back and forth. And so that's one of the draws for doing the numbers and running a short-term rental. Now, on the back end, the reason that I'm excited about it is not necessarily for the cash flow from the short-term rental, because that's fine, but it does take some work and you do got to optimize it. What I get excited about is when you look to build wealth and sell this down the road, you're not going to be selling it to another investor. It's not going to be like, hey, what are the numbers? I'm selling this to an investor. You're going to sell it to a family or somebody that wants to move to the city who's going to pay the top dollar and kind of make it happen from there.
Right. And so I'm sold. I'm moving to Atlanta now.
Hey, come on now.
Um, all of that makes a ton and the best thing with working with investors, and this is why I worked with a lot of investors in the past, it's not emotional, right? It's not emotional. So when you're working with a first time home buyer that's crying, that doesn't know what it did, or the family that's, relocating and um, there's no emotion in investing. It is what it is, and you're looking at the numbers, and that's it. So I think that, in my personal opinion, that's not me, but like that's one of the best things in working with investors is because if the numbers make sense, they're going to buy. You don't need all of these fancy sales scripts and, different ways. You do need to know sales, but like all of these different things, if the numbers make sense, an investor that, is ready, able, and willing to buy a home is going to buy the property. Now, what would you say for anybody that's wanting to get into whether it's real estate investing, or whatever, in a short period of time? And maybe it's not that short because you started in what, 2016?
Yep.
Okay, so 2016. So it's not that short, but you've been a full-time agent for a shorter period of time. What are some of the ways that you got yourself up to speed quickly with, because I've talked with a lot of different real estate investors and you know what you're talking about. So, where would people go to, I guess, study books that you would recommend? Any software aside from AirDNA that you're using to analyze these investment properties and stuff like that?
Yeah, absolutely. And so first and foremost, and I think you would agree with this, I think that your experience in actually going out there and buying an investment property or a house hack or something yourself is going to teach you much more than any book or actually being out here, right? It's experience. And so if you go through it enough times, man, you're going to learn a lot. And that's why even when I look at CPAs, when I look at lenders, I want people that are investors themselves, because if my CPA is looking up all the tax codes so that he can save money on his real estate, better believe he can transfer those skills over to me as opposed to, hey, I'm just looking for a client. There's a different kind of energy that's put into that.
Right.
So that's first and foremost. But if you're asking for like websites and books, Bigger Pockets has been tremendous for me. So listening to that podcast, jumping into the forums, and also using some of the tools like their rent estimator for long-term rentals. And they have a partnership with AirDNA where they get like some high-level information from them, which has been good. I'd say if you're looking for a book to kind of get you jump started, Set for Life is pretty good. It shows you a little bit of how to do the numbers. Also, I read this book way back when, and it just so happened I was living in Kentucky at the moment, but Landlording on Autopilot is a solid book for how to put systems in place. When you talk about different software that they use nowadays, for the short-term rentals, we use something called Hospitable, which helps automate most of the messaging with guests and the communication with cleaners. For the long-term rentals, we use something called Buildium, which allows you to automate the guests doing their pay or the residents doing their payments monthly and also submitting maintenance requests to where you could just have it go to whoever it needs to go to. And then for the self-storage, we use something called Storage, which is similar to those systems but built for storage. So there's a lot of tools and software out there. You just got to get started.
Right, exactly. And a lot of times, like, people are scared to make a mistake, and I can honestly tell you that is where you learn the most, is making those mistakes. And those mistakes are become stories that you can then tell other people, well, this is what happened, and this is how I overcame it, and this is what I do differently now. You know what I mean? Those are all different softwares that I've never even heard of. So before we hop off, why don't we talk about the storage units real quick? You still have them.
Absolutely. We just built it and finished it early last year, opened it up for rental midway through last year, and now we're at 50% occupied, which is an important number because at 50% it covers itself now. So I'm not coming out of pocket anymore. Now it's now I can smile and be really happy about it. So now everything else is gravy.
So where is it located again? It's in Kentucky?
Yep. So it's in Taylorsville, Kentucky, which is about 30 minutes south of Louisville. It's in one of the best school districts in the Louisville metro. And so a lot of people are moving to that area for the school districts and it's growing, but it's untapped. It's not a spot that you would know if you were not living in the Louisville metro.
Mhm. Well, and it's so interesting because here, what in my area, literally a million storage facilities popped up, brand new, and I'm like, "What?" I feel bad for them. I'm like, "Are they even fully rented?" I don't There's so many of them that just all of a sudden at one time, I'm like, "How did they even allow for all of these with permits and everything?" Um, Between Airbnb, storage units, and long-term rentals, what's your favorite?
Man, that's a tough one, right? That's a really tough one. So I like them all for different reasons. I can't choose a favorite. It's almost like choosing a kid, right? You can't choose one kid. There's different reasons that you like each of them. And so for the storage, what I like about it is it's pretty hands off. Once you get people in there, nobody really wants to be bothered. You set it for auto pay and you're able to do an increase a lot easier without really a conversation. You give a 30-day notice, you can increase 10% and 10% on $100 unit is just $10. So it's not like a make or break. People aren't going to move their stuff out
Right.
for that. And so that's what I love about that piece. But it takes a while to get it fully occupied, right? So to your point, if you got 15 storage units around you, you guys are going to be cutting price and trying to do all these discounts just to get people in because you know they'll stay. But that's the tough part. When you talk about short-term rentals, what I love about it is being able to deliver that experience for a guest and also being able to have outsized returns. I bought a duplex last year. That's where I'm sitting right now. That we're house hacking. We live in the front. We rent the back out as a short-term rental, and the back is a 5-bed, 4.5 bath, so it's a big one. And so last month it did about 10K, which is covering majority of the mortgage. So it's like, okay, this is pretty cool. But you do have to put a lot of systems in place to get yourself out of it. When I was down at like, 6 or less short-term rentals, it was all me, and it was a lot of messaging day and night to try to get through that. Now we have a whole team. Now we've got some AI software, and it's made it a lot easier. And so that's what I like about short-term rentals. And it allows you to get properties in amazing neighborhoods that normally would not cash flow to where, hey, your equity position is going to go up into the right over time. So that's what I like about that. And then when you look at long-term rentals, I love that because what you're able to do is if the numbers work, you set it and forget it. I bought a fourplex a little over 2 years ago up in Snellville, Gwinnett County, and two of the tenants have remained with us. We just kept increasing their rent each year, and then the other two, one of them we updated and we just got rented out with a new tenant, and the other one we turned into a short slash midterm rental. And the long-term rental side of that piece, you literally don't hear from them. It's just, hey, maybe a dishwasher stopped working 6 months in. Okay, we'll send maintenance guy over there, but it's just money hitting on the first, which is amazing.
Now, are you using a property manager or you're managing yourself?
So when I was back in Louisville, I managed up until we got to about 15 units. And then trying to do that along with work a full-time medical device W-2 up in Boston was crazy. And so I moved it to a long-term renter or a property management and grew to 30 units. Here, I've been able to manage ourselves because I'm not working a W-2, I'm full-time real estate, and so I've built out a team that helps with the management. I've got maintenance people, operations person, right? Because all the short-term rentals and things of that nature, and so we self-manage our own units, and honestly, it's been amazing to have a little more control over that because nobody's gonna care about your property more than you do.
Exactly. And with the right software, it makes it a lot easier too. So
Yeah, and with AI getting integrated into everything, it's making it so much easier now that, like, we can actually probably 3 or 4x and not have to do, or hire too many more people.
absolutely. So let's talk about that real quick. What types of AI are you incorporating to make it easier for you?
So for the short-term rental side, I'm actually super excited about this. So I'll just give you the rundown or the timeline. So when we first started in the short-term rentals, it was me doing all the messaging, right? I can handle about 6 properties. After that, it was like, hey, it's 9 p.m. I'm still messaging. My wife's mad at me. All this stuff, right? Like, hey, I got to put this phone away. Uh, so then I started hiring team members, and with team members, I was able to find a crew based out of Pakistan that could work 24/7 because it was 3 or 4 team members that worked around the clock. And it was a lot of trying to train them to get the right messages out because sometimes it just wouldn't sound right. Fast forward to today, now we have one virtual assistant based in the Philippines who's a rock star. But along with them, we've partnered them with the AI software that's built into Hospitable. And it's gotten so good at recognizing the different conversations we have about a certain property with all the different guests that anytime we answer something once, it logs it in its memory. And now you can click a button called Suggest AI, and it will literally pull from a backlog and answer just about 90% of questions. Now we're
Yeah.
going to take it a step further because I'm part of like the early release team there. And we're going to be able to actually turn on this thing in about 2 weeks where it's going to start auto responding to guests. Like it'll automatically respond and answer any questions. If it starts to feel like a guest temperature is starting to rise, it won't respond. It'll send you a message so that you can respond. But that's going to take us to the next level to where, hey, this thing's auto responding and we do a good job of building out the knowledge portal behind it of, hey, this is how you respond to all this stuff. Man, you can manage a lot without having to do much.
It's so funny because I'm teaching an AI class next Tuesday, and I have my AI bots trained. It's prompting and training, and you can upload your FAQs and everything. And literally, the AI bot, voice AI, so they'll have a conversation, and sometimes clients will call and have the conversation with the AI bot, and towards the end, they're like, "Is this AI?" Because they're like not 100% sure. Some people don't know at all. They're just like, whatever. And then some people can tell right away and they're just, okay, I'm not talking to this AI bot, but it's awesome. I love AI. So
Question on that, because that's something I haven't implemented as much into the realty side. What I want to do is build a custom GBT just that houses our internal stuff. But with the voice AI, have you found or are you starting to use that as like almost like a secretary for you to answer calls?
absolutely. So I have a CRM called Done by One. I'll send you the information on it. And it's a CRM for real estate, mortgage, and business professionals. So I just did a demo yesterday for mortgage. I'm doing one for businesses next week. So anything from coaches, caterers, construction. My husband has a construction company. We use it for his. They can set appointments. His AI will set appointments for him, chat back and forth with the clients. So it's a full AI bot that will chat. They can do chat on Facebook, Instagram, DMs, WhatsApp, text. So it's called Conversation AI, but I also have the voice AI agents built within it. And then Thursday, I'm not this next Thursday, actually the Wednesday, I think it's the 18th, I'm doing a demo for the real estate agents. So I'll send you the info. But yeah, it's
Thanks.
done by one.
Come on now.
Yeah.
Done and done. That sounds amazing. And it's one of those things where you got to keep adapting. Like we have to start using this stuff or you'll get left behind and you're not going to be as efficient or able to keep up.
Exactly. Yeah. Awesome. Well, it was so good having you on. I loved like everything you really brought, like all the real estate investing. You're doing a million different things between the short term, the long term, the subject twos, just selling $1 million mansions. So, is there any last like piece of advice or anything that you kind of want to let everybody know?
Yeah, I think it goes back to what we talked about a little earlier. When I got started, I couldn't even think about, hey, should I have an LLC first and all of that, or going commercial or going after stores? That was never a thought. But I didn't need to see the full staircase before taking that first step. And so I just encourage everybody who's listening, take that first step, whatever it is, whether it's reaching out to Danielle to get pre-approved for a mortgage, whether it's reaching out to a realtor to start looking at houses, just take that first step because you never know where it'll lead to. And that first step could get you to financial freedom out of your W-2 here in a couple years. It doesn't take that
Absolutely.
long. Just got to take the first step.
And be consistent and learn and go on the internet and join different groups and, ask a million questions. So don't be afraid to take the leap because I'm telling you, I haven't had a W-2 job since 2000, I think. No, 2003. I was like, wait, I was in college. I was in college in Boston, actually.
Nice. That's awesome.
But, yeah, no, I don't even know what I would do with a W-2 job. Like, I have not had one. I had one for 2 years after I graduated from college, and then that was it. So, if you're a hustler and you got that inside you, it doesn't matter what market you're in, you're gonna make it happen, and I can tell you the best years, yes, 2005 to 2007 was 2006 was awesome. Made a killing, made a ton of money, lost almost everything, but then the second best years were the hardest years because we were the ones that spotted the opportunity. And so instead of getting out of the business, we looked to see, okay, these people are all exiting. What's the opportunity now? Where is it? And we just grabbed on that opportunity, and that was, the next best years of our lives. So right now is perfect time to invest in real estate. So
Come on now. I love
well, thank you so much for being here. I really appreciate it. I know this was awesome. A lot of people are going to get a ton of information. Can they contact you? I mean, if they're obviously looking in Atlanta, they, can reach out, but just in general questions, where should they find you?
Absolutely. Feel free to contact us. It's at Akabo Home, EKABO Home, on Instagram, TikTok, and all the socials. And if you go to akabohome.com, you can find all our contact info. And the cool thing about our team is, yes, we're based in the metro of Atlanta and we cover all of Georgia, but we've also built out a network of investor-friendly agents across 30 more states that we can connect you with as well. We want to be your investor-friendly solution. And so super excited, and thank you for having me, Danielle.
Thank you. He's got you covered. Give him a call. Well, that's a wrap. I hope you enjoyed today's episode of Real Estate Secrets Unlocked. Don't forget to subscribe to our show on your favorite platform, and we would love your feedback. Check us out on social and let me know what topics you want more of. Don't forget to like and subscribe to our channel and our show. I'm your host, Danielle Damianov, and until next time, stay motivated, stay excited, and keep growing in this crazy world of real estate. Thanks for listening to Real Estate Secrets Unlocked.